Metalhead Weatherman. Hopefully, you guys have had a good start to the work week here. Well, I've been talking about the rest of the month and heading into November for a little bit here, but now we're starting to get some official outlooks here from the CPC. So we're gonna go ahead and discuss that. But first, we're actually gonna discuss one last time as this Arctic blast is really pretty much at this point unfolding. Just what's going on and just a little bit more detail of what temperatures we could expect in which areas. So we'll start out with the current view right now. Have this upper level low that's around the Great Lakes, and we're getting some wraparound snow around the UP of Michigan. We're going to be flip-flopping between rain and snow for this area over the next day or so. I did not mean to click that. But you can tell right here that this is our below freezing line, 540 line. I'll have tutorials for this available, but on one condition, that you guys give this video 10 likes. If you can do that, I will do tutorial videos on a whole bunch of different stuff. Winter weather, severe weather, just about whatever you would like. And if you had anything particular that you wanted me to go over, let me know in the comments. But anyway, enough about that. We'll move this in motion here, and you can see this snow that kind of wraps around on the backside of it. And you can even see that darker blue that's reflected there. That's some heavy snow. That's heavy snow, like right up in here especially. So Tuesday morning and into Tuesday afternoon is going to be very interesting around the UP and even more towards inland Michigan. And this upper level low is going to hang around for a while over there. Thing is going to be switching back and forth between rain and snow, maybe even some freezing rain, because we don't necessarily go north of this you don't necessarily warm up beyond this 540 line here. So there could be some warm air aloft that's causing rain, or there could be something else that I'm not seeing. I'm trying to see if I could get a sounding and get an idea of what could be going on here. So far, based off the soundings, I'm not really getting too much of an inkling as to what could be going on there, as to why we're getting rain in that area. We'll try and go back a little further. This definitely doesn't have the ice storm look to it, so no need to fear on that. But beyond that there, I mean, that's just pretty much as far as the moisture side, what we'll have going on here. Can't rule out some flurries for interior New York and maybe even some parts of New Hampshire, Rhode Island, some of the states over there, and maybe even Maine. But for the most part, all the precipitation is going to be focused mostly here. The main thing that we want to talk about here is the temperatures. So we're going to go ahead and jump into that. So we have excuse me, we have our Arctic blast right here. Jumping a little bit ahead of myself. Jumping way too far ahead of myself. Gotta love hitting the wrong button. So here's our Arctic blast coming in, and you can see this starting to wrap around and push its way to the south and east, especially towards the central plains is what we're going to be really cold. We even got some teens going here towards the Dakotas and even towards Minnesota here. I was about to call it Minneapolis. And then it even tries to sneak its way into the Missouri region, the Missouri River Valley. And then by tomorrow night, we're going to start to see that push just a tad bit more to the east and a little bit further south too. Some areas even around the Appalachians here could be getting into the low 20s. Atlanta, you could be seeing temperatures near the low 30s. I even remember towards my area, I think we had a freeze watch that was issued today. Be interesting to see how that continues to unfold from this point. But we do start to see a little bit of a change here towards Thursday. This is as far as the NAM will go out, but towards Thursday and Friday, it looks like we start to warm back up. So this isn't going to be a super long-lasting Arctic blast, but it's our first sign that times are changing here. When you need to be ready just in case this winter decides to go B to B or BTW or BTTW. Forgive me for the acronym. I'm not trying to necessarily say that or be potentially demonetized by YouTube, even though I don't have any, even though I don't have any way to be monetized right now. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into the CPC outlooks here. So we're mainly going to start out by looking towards the end of the month here. Here's our day 6 to 10 outlook, and by this point, our negative PNA will be taking place here. So the temperature is going to be cooler than average around the west and starting to become warmer than average around the east. Our highest areas of confidence are going to be mainly for the west are going to be towards Idaho, northern Nevada, northern Utah, and isolated parts of Wyoming, Montana, Washington, and Oregon. For our areas that are expected to be warmer than average, it's mainly going to be towards the interior northeast and some parts of the Ohio Valley, maybe northern Ohio, far like southeastern Michigan, northern Pennsylvania, and then further north we go, maybe towards Connecticut, Connecticut, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, Vermont, Delaware, and other various areas. Could be expecting above average temperatures. Doesn't mean that you're going to be into the 80 and 90 degree temperatures, but we could be expecting some warmer times ahead. But one thing that I've noted in the last few videos, and I'll post a couple of them in the top right corner periodically, is that this is also going to detail the possibility of severe weather, and this is even reflected now in our precipitation probability. In recent time, we would see a little bit more activity towards the west. The plains were actually going to be drier than average, but now we have this above average precip probability stretching further and further out to the east. It's more or less now towards the far northeast where we're expecting below average precipitation. Even then, that's not a very high confidence area of below average precip. Also, let's note that any areas that are in the white here have an equal chance of either or situation where we could be above or below average. And we'll just have to see how the storm track progresses here. Then we go all the way to the end of the month here, and we're looking at that negative PNA still holding in place here, kind of rooting itself in for a while, all the way into Halloween. So make sure you're extra warm over here in the west towards Halloween. And then over towards the south and east, we're going to be warmer than average as well. Northeast, you're still going to be very much warmer than average as well. Towards the eastern half of the country, pretty much it's the same deal. But if you look at, the real interesting part is the precip here. We look at our precip probability. There is no areas right now that are going to be below average. Either you have an equal chance, or you're going to have above average probability of precipitation. Very interesting, but we've been noting that in the last few model runs we've been seeing from the GFS and even the Euro now that we're going to be heading into a more active storm pattern too, which also may mean that there is an increased chance for severe weather. We'll go over that tomorrow. So that's one thing that we'll keep noted here. So now let's go ahead and take a look at the week 3 and 4 outlooks here. This will have us looking as far out as November 11th, but if we look at the temperatures above average, by this point here towards the end of it, I would say the negative PNA over the west starts to break, and we're kind of entering more of a neutral pattern here. And interestingly enough, the area that's going to be below average, and the only area that's going to be below average in temperature, actually might be Florida. So I don't know how you guys react to it down there, but keep an eye on your weather towards the latter half of the month and heading into November. Excuse me. Then over towards the southern plains here, we're going to be above average once again. Towards the far northeast, we're going to be above average once again, and towards the The West Coast here, we're going to also be above average. Everyone else is pretty much at equal chances right now. Keep in mind that we're 3 to 4 weeks out, so this is very much prone to changing, and we'll keep a close eye on things. But it's a very interesting setup so far, and the same can be really reflected. The same is really reflected in the precipitation outlooks. Interestingly enough, though, we do see an above average area that's over towards the Appalachians here, and even into the Ohio Valley. So we'll have to see how this unfolds as well. But I do think that there is a chance for maybe some strong to severe thunderstorms possible here towards the end of the month. I'll have to see how things progress with that. And then over here, this makes a lot of sense to me, given that once the P&A kind of goes negative here and the jet stream kind of settles at this area, a lot of storms will end up starting over here and going through this area, and then they'll just be taken wherever the jet stream makes its dips. Interestingly enough, though, it looks like Florida will start to quiet down and actually will have a below average chance of precipitation and moderate confidence in that as well. So it's going to be interesting to see just where the storm track ends up being as we progress further into the month and into the start of November. But that's the end of the video here. It looks like I can almost feel it. My voice is starting to go. I don't know if that's because of the sudden temperature change or what, but we'll see how it goes. But until the next video, this has been Tire Metalhead Weatherman. I will see you guys in the next one. Have a good night and stay warm, folks.